Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, professional bakers, esteemed colleagues, passionate educators, dedicated academics, and sourdough enthusiasts from every corner of the globe. I am your host, Carl, the sourdough librarian, and it's an absolute honor to welcome you to this special live stream event as we celebrate a remarkable milestone, the 10th anniversary of this beloved sourdough library. Today we're making history by streaming simultaneously across multiple platforms. We are streaming on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube together. And we bring together a global community of bread lovers like never before. In recognition of our international audience, we'll be repeating this live stream 4 more times throughout the day to accommodate different time zones. Our next session at 4 o'clock, so that's in 3 hours from now, will be conducted entirely in Spanish. Our agenda is brimming with topics that promise to engage, educate, and inspire. We'll delve into the captivating world of the sourdoughs from the monastery of Xenophontos on Mount Athos in Greece. Then, we'll continue with a grand celebration of our 10 years journey, reflecting on the milestones that have shaped us. We'll share the findings from our latest experiment involving 17 unique sourdoughs from our very own library. And of course, we will take some time to answer your questions because this celebration is about our shared passion and collective wisdom. So, passionate sourdough enthusiasts, wherever you are joining us from and whatever time it is in your region, get ready and settle in for an hour of enlightening conversation, heartwarming memories, and plenty of sourdough magic. Thank you for being part of this groundbreaking event. Now, let's get this celebration started. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great excitement that we introduce you to the next chapter in our ongoing saga, The Quest for Sourdough. This isn't just another episode. It's a journey into the heart of a place where time stands still, where traditions hold strong and sourdough bread is more than just food. It's a symbol of faith, of resilience, and community. Our story takes us to the remote peninsula of Mount Athos in Greece, a place steeped in spirituality and solitude. It houses an ancient monastery, still vibrant and alive with monastic life. But what makes this place extraordinary for us isn't just its historical significance, it's the 2 unique sourdough starters that we got there. We can say that number 141 and 142 are part of our sourdough library collections. And these aren't ordinary sourdoughs. They carry within them the essence of Mount Athos. It's air, it's water, it's grain. They have been nurtured by the monks, used to bake breads that sustains both body and soul. And now, they're ready to share their story with the world. We were fortunate enough to capture some exclusive footage from this sacred place, a rarity, since camera crews are typically not allowed inside. This footage offers an unprecedented glimpse into the monastic life and the integral role that these sourdough starters play in it. In this film, we delve into the history of these sourdoughs, their journey to our library, and the unique flavors they bring into every loaf they help create. We explore how these starters reflect the spirit of Mount Athos. Simple, yet profound. Humble, yet extraordinary. So join us as we embark on this remarkable journey. Discover the secrets of sourdough number 141 1142. Witness how ancient tradition melt with modern science to preserve a piece of our shared culinary heritage. Welcome to the quest for sourdough, the sacred starters of Mount Athos. Join us now for this exclusive journey and prepare to be fascinated by the magic of sourdough like never before. And right after that, we dive into the results of our latest sourdough experiment. Enjoy the movie. We are back on our quest for sourdough. And right behind me is Mount Athos. Now, the first time I came to Greece was to pick up a sourdough from the region of Amphilochia. That wheat sourdough had a strong connection to tradition, but also to religion. I'm back in Greece to discover two new sourdoughs. One wheat-based, again with a strong connection to religion, and the other one is rye-based. Now, that one is a bit of mystery to me because I am not aware of any rye bread tradition here in Greece. Mount Athos is hidden a little bit in the clouds, but it's a holy mountain, and for more than 1,000 years, 20 monasteries are located on its territory. Now, Mount Athos is a special place because women are not allowed. You need a special permit to get on the island. We are very lucky that we are able to do this. If everything goes well, Father Isaias is awaiting for me in order to discover these two amazing sourdoughs. Καλημέρα, πατέρας, Ισάιας. Όλα καλά?
Πολύ καλά. Καλώς ήρθες.
After getting settled in the monastery, Father Isaias is ready to introduce us to the star of the show.
Father Isaias, πόσο καιρό ψήνεις με αυτό το προζύμι?
Είμαι στο φούρνο εδώ και 10 χρόνια και χρησιμοποιούμε όπως σε όλο το Άγιο Όρος το παραδοσιακό προζύμι του Σταυρού, που γίνεται της υψώσεως του Σταυρού.
Τι είδος ψωμί φτιάχνει με αυτό το προζύμι?
Με αυτό το προζύμι, εδώ στο μοναστήρι, φτιάχνουμε ένα ψωμί το οποίο είναι μισό κίτρινο με άσπρο αλεύρι και 20 με 30% άλευρα ολικής αλέσεως.
Πάμε τώρα?
Πάμε.
Πάμε!
First, we feed the sourdough with water and flour and let it sit for about 8 hours to rise. Father Isaias also pours a little holy water, and then it is the time to cover the starter with a sheet and a blanket to keep warm overnight. A last important step, an image of Christ to bless the mother dough. Then we prepare the mix of flours, 40% durum, 40% white flour and 20% of whole wheat flour.
Ωραία.
Ωραία.
Είναι έτοιμο το αλεύρι μας τώρα. Τώρα, αύριο το πρωί, θα έρθουμε πρώτα ο Θεός και θα πιάσουμε το ζυμαράκι μας, μαζί με το προζύμι και λίγο αλάτι που θα βάλουμε μέσα.
Καληνύχτα. Τα λέμε αύριο.
Καληνύχτα, αύριο.
Καληνύχτα.
Αύριο θα ζυμώσουμε, ωραία.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ. We are back in the bakery, and I'm curious to see how this sourdough has behaved overnight. Oof. There's less acidity than I expected. Last night, the sourdough we used to refresh was quite acid. Now the acidity is rather low. Reminds me a bit of a red wine with quite some complexity. So it's quite a high amount of sourdough. We prepare the dough with a very large percentage of sourdough. Then add salt and oil and mix.
Είναι εντάξει νομίζω, Κάρλ.
Next is one of the most important parts of the preparation of the bread in the monastery. The blessing of the dough by one of the priests. Father Isaias prepares incense and lights candles, getting ready to receive the blessing of the bread.
Να τους και ο παπάς μας. Ο πατήρ Δαμασκηνός είναι αδελφός της Μονής Είναι από Φιλανδία.
Από Φινλανδία.
Ναι, και είναι αυτός που μας έφερε το δεύτερο προζύμι που έχουμε στη μονή μας. Είναι σίκαλι το προζύμι, είναι σικάλαιος. Σίκαλοι χρησιμοποιούν σαν αλεύρι στη χώρα του εκεί και το προσαρμόσαμε και στα δικά μας εδώ τα προζύμια και στη ζύμη μας. Είναι πολύ αρωματικό το προζύμι του και έχουν παράδοση στη χώρα του, το κρατάνε από γενιά σε γενιά. Είναι περίπου 230 χρόνων το προζύμι που έχει ο πατήρ Δαμασκηνός. Ευλόγησον Δέσποτο το σημείωμα.
Ευλογητός ο Θεός ημών πάντοτε και στους αιώνας των αιώνων.
Αμήν.
Χριστός ανέστη εκ νεκρών θανάτων πατήσας και της εν της μνήμας εις ζωήν χαρισάμενο.
Ποια είναι η σημασία του ψωμιού στο μοναστέρι?
Το προζυμένιο ψωμί διαβάζεται, ευλογείται η ζύμη και καταναλώνεται ιδιαίτερα περισσότερο την περίοδο που έχουμε νηστεία στο Άγιο Όρος. Είναι από τις βασικές τροφές έτσι στα μοναστήρια. Το ιδιαίτερο που έχει αυτό το προζύμι, που δεν το έχουν τα άλλα τα προζύμια, είναι ότι αυτό το προζύμι ευλογείται με το τίμιο ξύλο. Όλα τα μοναστήρια στο Άγιο Όρος έχουν τμήμα του τιμίου ξύλου. Με αυτό το σταυρό, κατά τη διάρκεια της αγρυπνίας της υψώσεως του σταυρού, ευλογείται αυτό το προζύμι και υπάρχει όλο το χρόνο, το αναπιάνουμε και το κρατάμε και με αυτό το χρησιμοποιούμε σαν προζύμι.
Μπορούμε να δούμε με το σταυρό, με το τίμιο ξύλινο?
Βέβαια, μπορούμε να το δούμε. Αυτός είναι ο σταυρός που περιέχει μεγάλο τμήμα του τιμίου ξύλου, ίσως και ο μεγαλύτερος σταυρός της Μονής, όπου με αυτό, κατά τη διάρκεια της αγρυπνίας της υψώσεως του τιμίου σταυρού, ευλογείται το ζυμάρι που είπαμε και φτιάχνουμε το προζύμι. Έχει αυτή την ιδιότητα να διωγγώνει το αλεύρι, το τίμιο ξύλο.
Ευχαριστώ που μου δείξατε το σταυρό.
Να είστε καλά. Να προσκυνήσουμε και να φύγουμε.
The bread has doubled in size and it is ready to go into the oven. And while we wait for it to be baked, I want to find out more about the rye sourdough.
Since when is the rye sourdough here on Mount Athos?
Since 2017 maybe. I'm not really sure about the year. I've always been quite a lot into baking. And I just mentioned to Father Isaias that we have this amazing rye sourdough in Finland, and I brought it here and he liked it very much, so we started using it in bread baking here too. Well, the sourdough itself is, we don't know exactly how old it is, but probably from the early 19th or late 18th century.
Do you only bake with the rye sourdough or do you have a wheat sourdough as well in Finland?
Wheat sourdough generally was not a big thing in Finland in the past, but it's become quite trendy. So I took the sourdough that we use here at the monastery with me to Finland and started using that.
So if I understand well, the two sourdoughs that are here, you have them as well in Finland. Would it be possible for me to come to Finland and pick up these two sourdoughs as well for the sourdough library?
You're welcome. I'll bake you some good Finnish rye bread.
I'm looking forward to that.
Να δοκιμάσουμε το ψωμί μας. Έχει πολύ ωραίο φούσκωμα. Ωραία αρώματα.
Surprisingly, with the big amount of sourdough that was used in the recipe, you don't get the typical sourness. It's very smooth. There is some sweetness inside. I think that's from the whole wheat flour. The durum wheat flour that is used in the recipe brings a kind of cereal flavor. Very nice, very pleasant to eat. So, congratulations.
And you.
Welcome back. I hoped you liked this movie. I did. So it is my it is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to the celebratory portion of our event, marking the 10th anniversary of this extraordinary sourdough library. In 2013, The Sourdough Library was founded with a mission that was as simple as it was as ambitious: to preserve the biodiversity of sourdough, to protect the heritage of baked goods made with this unique leavening agent, and provide a backup for sourdough cultures from around the globe. This non-profit initiative by Puraros was conceived as a contribution to the world of fermentation and fermentation technology. Fast forward a decade, and we have grown to house an impressive collection of 145 samples from 30 different countries. Our work has led us to discover over 1,500 strains of yeasts and lactic acid bacteria. We've embarked on numerous scientific studies, some of which are still ongoing, deepening our understanding of this ancient baking tradition. Our Quest for Sourdough website has become a hub for bakers worldwide with over 2,800 potential candidates registered to contribute their unique sourdough starters to our growing collection. We've safeguarded sourdoughs with rich histories, from those tied to the Klondike Gold Rush to one blessed with a piece of the original cross of Jesus Christ, as you could see in the movie. We've even preserved a sample from one of the last samurai, among many others, that you can discover when visiting the virtual library on the Quest for Sourdough website. Our efforts have earned us global recognition, with features in the New York Times and various podcasts, TV shows, and radio station interviews. We've become the thought leaders in sourdough and sourdough baking, bridging the gap between the academic world, the baking industry, artisan bakers, and home bakers. We have even begun the process to be recognized as part of the UNESCO World Heritage, meeting 3 of the necessary requirements. Looking towards the future, our mission remains clear. We aim to crack the code of sourdough. We strive to understand its contribution to better bread fully, how it can be controlled and perform more consistently, and how it can be used globally in baking, regardless of where you are on this planet or your economic status. We believe that everyone should have access to better bread and the wonders of sourdough. But beyond the samples and the scientific discoveries, what truly makes this library special is the community it has built. The friendships forged through a shared passion for sourdough are invaluable. Each jar in our library tells a story of tradition, heritage, and friendship. So, as we celebrate this milestone, we thank each and every one of you for being part of this journey. Here's to a decade of safeguarding sourdough biodiversity and to many more years of discovery and camaraderie. How can you join the celebration? Well, I would like to extend an invitation to each and every one of you. You've heard about the Sourdough Library's mission, its achievements, and its dreams for the future. Now it's time for all of us to become part of this incredible journey. We're launching the Sourdough Contest in honor of our 10th anniversary. This is a global call for all bakers, professional and amateur alike, to bake a loaf of sourdough bread and dedicate it to the Sourdough Library. So here's how you can participate. Bake a bread. Use your favorite starter to bake a delicious loaf of bread. Capture the beauty. Snap a picture of your masterpiece. We want to see the crust, your crumb, and the unique features of your loaf. Share your story. Post the photo on social media. Describe your bread. Tell us about the starter you use and share why sourdough baking is important to you. Use the hashtag, very important, use the hashtag Sourdough Decade and tag me whenever you can so we can see your posts. Last thing to do is to register your sourdough on our website, thequestforsourdough.com. By doing this, you're helping us document and preserve the biodiversity of sourdough, and who knows that one day I'll show up at your door to collect your sourdough to be part of the Sourdough Library collection. So it is more than just a competition. It's a celebration of sourdough, of baking, and of the global community that shares this passion. So fire up those ovens, dust off your aprons, and get to bake. On the 14th of November, we will announce 10 winners. In case you are one of them, you will receive a signed copy of this book. It's called Experience Sourdough, and it talks about what we are doing here in this building called the Center for Bread Flavor. We now venture into the realm of science, experimentation, and discovery. Earlier this year, we embarked on a unique experiment, one that allowed us to explore the evolution of sourdoughs stored in our library from 2013 up to 2022. In this extraordinary experiment, we returned a sample of 17 sourdoughs to its original owners. We then asked them to feed this sample in their environment using their local flour and water. After 15 and 30 days, we collected samples from them for comparison. The aim was to compare the original sourdough we received, the current sample we have in the library, and the current sourdough at the owners' bakeries. The results are fascinating, offering a glimpse into the dynamic life of sourdough and how it evolves over time and across different environments. However, we're just peeling back the first layers of this complex study. Over the coming months, we'll delve deeper into these findings, uncovering the secrets that lie within these sourdoughs. To discuss more about this experiment, I am thrilled to introduce my special guest, Guylaine, my esteemed colleague from R&D, who has been instrumental in managing the scientific aspects of this sourdough library. She is actually my scientific partner in crime in this project. Together, we've been navigating the intriguing world of sourdough science, and we are eager to share the latest insights with you. So, welcome, Guylaine. Welcome, Guylaine. Finally, we have the results of the experiment. You have been looking into it. We had some feedback from the team of Marco Gobetti, but can you explain briefly what was the aim of the experiment? What is it that we wanted to study?
So with this edition 2023 of the sourdough experiment, we would like to answer three main questions. The first one, which is a quite fair question, and which is a question that people frequently ask when they visit the library, is, do the sourdough maintained in the library remain as it was when it entered the library? The second question, which is fair too, is what about the sourdough which stayed at the bakery? Does it evolve too or not? And the last question was, okay, if the sourdough kept in the library is evolving differently comparing to the one kept in the bakery, would it be possible, by refreshing this sample kept in the library, to obtain, in the end, the same sourdough as it is in the bakery?
Okay. So can you explain briefly what was the approach that we used and what are the first findings?
Yeah. So to try to answer this question, we decided to select 17 sourdough from the library, and these sourdough were kept, thank you, were kept since 1 to 10 years into the library. And for each of these 17 sourdoughs, we analyzed 4 different samples. The first sample was a sample of the sourdough kept in the library. Mm-hmm. The second one was a sample coming from the bakery. And the 2 other ones were samples coming from the refreshment of the sample from the library at the bakery after 15 and 40 days of refreshment.
Okay.
And these samples were analyzed at the University of Bolzano. And so I would like to really thank all the team from Bolzano for the work they made with these samples. And so they analyzed the samples from a biochemical point of view, so meaning they measure pH, acidity, organic acids, ethanol, and so on. And they also characterized the microbiology characteristics of these samples. So mainly the lactic acid bacteria, the yeast species present in the samples, and also the number of cells of each population.
Okay, so it's a lot of work. So
yeah.
The team, that's Anna, Kashika,
yes.
Marco, and Rafaela.
Yeah.
So if they are watching, thank you very much for that. So we received some results. So what can you share as first insights about what we discovered?
So today I'm able to share with you 2 main information about these samples, and it is related to the lactic acid bacteria composition of the samples. We've seen that for 12 sourdough out of the 17 sourdough analyzed, there is an evolution of the composition of the microbial community. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
And this evolution is the same in the bakery and in the library.
Okay.
So to illustrate that, I pick up 2 examples. So the number 79 and the number 125.
So 79 is from Josie Baker in San Francisco. 125 is from Anita Sumer in Slovenia, known as Sourdough Mania.
Yeah. So here you can see for both of these sourdough, the composition of the sample kept in the library, so on the left, and the composition of the sample from the bakery on the right. And you can clearly see that the composition is identical if we compare the bakery and the library.
Okay.
Another point which is interesting regarding this evolution is that this evolution leads to a loss of biodiversity. And on the next slide, you will understand that what I would like to say with a loss of biodiversity. So on the right-hand side, you have the composition of the sourdough when it enters the library, okay. so many years ago. And you can see that there is a decrease on the number of lactic acid bacteria species.
Okay. So that means that, okay, the main goal of the sourdough library is to preserve the biodiversity. So by getting a sourdough in, we isolate the microorganisms and we keep them in a freezer at -80 degrees.
Yes.
So we are well aware that what we do is a snapshot of that moment in time. We isolate them, we preserve them. And then regardless if the sourdough evolves, and we saw it, so it evolves here in the library the same way it does in the bakery. The original biodiversity is preserved. But the fact that the sourdough here in the bakery, here in the library, and in the bakery of origin evolves in the same way. Is the impact of we feed these sourdoughs here 6 times per year, using the original flour that the owners send us. Is that the reason?
But it could be the reason. So the flour, it's maybe an assumption that we can have. But again, I think that we need to go more deeper into the results we receive from the study to try to explain that.
Okay, so the fact that what we have today is in 70 or 80% of the cases is the same as what the owners have in their place. Another thing we do in the library is offering a backup. So in case something would go wrong in the place of origin, what we send back is actually probably very close to what the owners have currently in their bakery.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. Yeah.
And if really needed, we can resurrect the sourdough based on the biodiversity, on all the microorganisms we gathered so many years ago. We can recreate a starter culture and reinitiate or bring back that biodiversity in that original sourdough.
Yes, indeed, this is something possible thanks to the strain collection that we have.
All right, so this library really is something. Huh? We can be proud.
Useful.
We can be proud of what we do
Yes.
here. All right, so what are the next steps now? Because we have some first insights, but it's not the end. We still need to have a couple more analyses.
Yes.
We need the final result of Gobetti. So what is coming the coming months? What's in the pipeline?
So sure, we will go more into the analysis of the results. And so here I explained a bit about the microbiology, but we need now to go more deeper into the biochemistry. And I'm expecting also to have more questions than answers. As you know, when we have such a study, it's already the case. So it's usually the case, sorry. And so we should start new studies in the coming months and years.
All right.
And also, it will be interesting to organize a live stream about this study 2023 once we will have all the conclusions.
So
what do you think?
You are inviting yourself for a live stream.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a world premiere. Guylaine, who is insisting on having a live stream here, it's something unseen before. So I think she's really excited about the experiment. She's really excited about the results that are incoming.
And to share this.
And to share them. Well, I thank you for this.
You're welcome.
And I'm looking forward to that live stream.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Guylaine.
Thank you, Carl.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
So remember, we are only scratching the surface here. There are many more revelations and insights to come as we continue to explore the amazing world of sourdough. So stay tuned, watch our upcoming posts, keep your questions ready and prepare to embark on a scientific journey like no other. Our sourdough, or our journey into the world of sourdough, continues as we present our next feature. This one is a special treat for all bakery enthusiasts out there. In our upcoming film, we will be engaging in insightful conversations with some of the most influential figures in the bakery world today. We have Guy Frankel from Seor Bread, known for his artistic loaves and boundary-pushing techniques. From London, we'll be joined by Sofia Hanchuk, the mastermind behind Sofia's Sourdough, a beloved bakery that has captured the hearts of locals and tourists alike. And last but not least, we'll be talking to Ramon Garriga from Gluten Morgan, the notorious hobby baker from Argentina. These influencers will share their unique stories, their passion for sourdough, and how they're pushing the boundaries in their respective fields. It's an opportunity to learn from the best, gain insights into their craft, and perhaps even get inspired to start your own sourdough journey. But that's not all. After the movie, I am delighted to show you a discussion I had last week with Guido Vanherpe from La Lorraine bakeries about the future of bread. So buckle up for a thrilling exploration into the captivating world of sourdough, its influencers, and the science that backs it. Enjoy. See you back in about 5 minutes. Welcome to the Sourdough Library in St. Vith, Belgium. Over the past few years, we've seen a growing trend of consumers looking for more natural processes in food making to enhance their health. Because of this, sourdough became very popular and much better understood. It is the perfect time for the bread industry to help amplify this message and bring it to the public. So let's check in with some bread experts around the world on the topic of sourdough and health.
Jesse, my husband, and I were at home with our 8-month-old baby, and we said, look, the locals are all in isolation. I want to bake my bread. And we baked about 12 breads, which is exactly what fit into my oven at the time, and distributed them to my local neighbors. It's obviously something that people were happy to have in their neighborhoods. So we did a Kickstarter, and it was queues down the road from day one.
Sí, yo creo que hay una vuelta de volver a los principios y volver a los panes bien hechos, ya sea a nivel más casero, artesano y a nivel industrial también.
I thought it would be an amazing adventure to try and go on bringing what I did on a very small, minuscule scale at home to an industrial-sized facility. Still, everything is naturally leavened with sourdough, but to find a way to do all of that and do it on a larger scale and consistently, the same bun every day, for me was a huge challenge.
The main thing is that I focused on good grains and just good flavor, and that's all. There's nothing else in there, it's just 3 ingredients.
Y el tiempo es lo que le da el sabor justamente al pan. Y la masa madre hace eso, que demores un poco más en hacer estas preparaciones y eso es lo que le da un sabor característico.
I think of bread as art of the 5 senses. Here, every sense you get to enjoy and is being stimulated by your breads.
That, for me, makes the perfect sourdough. That's all it needs. It needs a slight nuttiness, a really lovely, nice and even crumb, and it needs to have a fairly thin crust. I don't like it too thick.
Los Angeles is a very health-oriented city, and the breads that we do here, other than being delicious and beautiful, we really focus on the health part.
Había una cultura quizás que el pan integral era un pan solo para gente que hacía dieta, tendría que ser un pan duro, pesado. En cambio, con una buena fermentación y una buena hidratación logramos unos panes de harinas integrales que son increíblemente ricos e increíblemente saludables también.
Grains are packed with nutrients, with proteins, with fibers, with minerals, with starch. Now, only they are not accessible as such. We need to crack the code. To open the cavern of these grains, we have 2 options. We have sprouting, and in this specific case, we have fermentation. The lactic acid bacteria present in the sourdough produces an enzyme called protease. This protease is also present in human stomach, and the protease breaks down the gluten network into amino acids. By starting breaking down the gluten network already during the fermentation, we have already started the digestion of the bread.
We carried out a human in vivo study showing that the sourdough bread compared to the baker's yeast bread is more digestible. And we demonstrated that both looking for the emission of gas during digestion, looking for the transit of the bread during our intestinal tract, and looking for the absorption of nutrients like free amino acids. All the analyses were in a unique way, showing that the sourdough bread was more digestible than all the other types of bread.
People come here as an advice from a health practitioner. They'll go somewhere and get nutritional advice and they'll say, well, if you are gluten intolerant, you should probably go and try spelt. So I often try and re-educate in that moment and say, do you know what? You could probably get away with my normal sourdough bread. The fact is that you've been consuming something that you can't actually digest because it's not been broken down well for you in your system.
And then the other benefit that we find with the sourdough fermentation is that it's a natural shelf life extender. And there's no preservatives other than the sourdough fermentation.
Hacer pan también es una terapia. Justamente ayuda a bajar mucho la locura que tenemos por ahí en estos días, bajar un cambio, como decimos nosotros, hacer bajar a tierra, conectarnos, trabajar con las masas es muy desestresante.
There's a big aspect of health, something that people are starting to actually understand or think about. What is in my bread? What is in the things that I'm buying ready-made?
Our motto is a continuous journey towards a more perfect bread.
I see the future of bread bright. With sourdough breads or other baked goods like pizza, cakes, brownies, and all these other baked goods that can be made with sourdough, we have great opportunities ahead. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to introduce a luminary in the world of baking, a man who has been instrumental in shaping the course of one of Europe's leading bakery groups. He wanted to be here live with us in the studio, only today they received in the bakery the visit of our Prime Minister Alexander De Croo, so he cancelled his participation, but he invited us last Friday to go there and have the interview with him. So please welcome Guido Vanherpe, the CEO of La Lorraine Bakery Group. Over his 26-year tenure as CEO, Guido has steered this family-owned business through various challenges, always with an eye on the future. La Lorraine Bakery Group, headquartered here in Belgium, is renowned for its wide range of bakery products, including breads, viennoiserie, and patisseries. Under Guido's leadership, the company has witnessed a significant growth and made a strong comeback in 2021 after the challenging circumstances of the previous year. Guido is a visionary who believes in the potential of synergy. He has successfully combined La Lorraine's technological prowess with traditional baking methods, notably in the production of specialty cakes and breads. In our upcoming conversation, we will dive into Guido's perspective on the future of bread. We are particularly interested to learn about the role of sourdough in their baked goods, a topic that resonates deeply with our own collection here. So stay tuned as we embark on a fascinating journey with Guido Vanherpe, exploring the intersection of tradition and innovation in the world of baking. Guido, who are you and how would you describe your company?
Well, my name is Guido Vanherpe. I'm the CEO of La Lorraine Bakery Group, third generation also family member and family shareholder of this company. And La Lorraine Bakery Group is an international bakery company. We have 4 divisions, a daily fresh division in Belgium. We have a store concept division. Panos is our main brand. We have also the milling division, which is the origin of our group. And then our international division across more than 30 countries, our frozen bake-off division.
In what way have our innovations helped your company to stay competitive within a European baking market?
Our strategy is based on product leadership. So that means that we want to differentiate ourselves by producing and selling unique and differentiating products. And in that matter, the fact that Puratos was able to help us in this uniqueness and differentiation by special ingredients, not just standard ingredients, but in a lot of cases also tailor-made solutions, which are special solutions for us that can help us differentiate also from competitors. This has been extremely helpful. The second element is that while growing big and scale, we need to make these products at affordable prices. So we need to be, at the end of the day, you can ask a higher price, but it needs to be within reasonable limits. And the fact that Puratos has been able to deliver us ingredients that help us to be reliable while aspiring product leadership, the combination of both, I believe, has made a difference.
With the rise of sourdough within the baking industry, how has La Lorraine adapted to this rising trend?
Well, sourdough is a fantastic ingredient, and I think already from the early days, especially when I started in the company in the 90s, we were already experimenting with sourdoughs because we felt that we had to go further than just baking a normal commodity bread. And sourdough has so many advantages. It adds taste to your product, but it also forces you to rethink the whole process of the product because it's not just about adding taste. Taste is related to structure, and structure is related to the process of your production. And the process then, it brought us into a whole new thinking of bread making. I would say from a fast process to a slow process. And it then brought us also to the idea and the concept which we launched as a brand concept, taste needs time. And I think what is very important is that when you use sourdough, it's not just the ingredient as such that will make the difference. It's the whole philosophy that you apply in your company. And this is about change management. So it's not just a new ingredient, it's a new philosophy that you need to implement in the company. And that is something that we have step by step implemented in the last 30 years in our company. And the fact that Puratos has also invested in that new innovation and expertise has been very helpful also in scaling that to our new markets and also to a large scale.
How important is sourdough in your current assortment and why?
Sourdough is today, it's still the minority of our sales. I think today, when we look at the whole of our bread range, it will be not more than 10%. Of course, we are building a pyramid. When we segment our breads, we have our basic breads, then we have what we call artisan touch breads, and then we have really our traditional breads, artisan breads that we make with this slow processes and where we use time as a differentiator. In this top of the pyramid, there, of course, we will use sourdough in more than 50, even 60% of our breads. And what we see over time is that we change the mix from the bottom of the pyramid to the intermediate stage and to the top stage. So I'm convinced that in the next 10 years, this 10% on the total range will evolve to 20, 25%. So it's a great way to grow in a valorized way and make the difference to the consumer. The role of sourdough in the future, I believe, and it's not me who has said that, but I think Puratos was the first to say that, is the future of bread is in its past. And I think when you ask what is the future of sourdough, well, that is the answer to that question. I think it's probably one of the main drivers that will create a future of bread, which is gonna make bread an even more special product on the menu of our consumers. And by bringing it back to the past, we come back to the pureness of bread. Less ingredients, less is more, but you focus on the essential parts of bread, which is the taste, the naturality, the structure. And I believe that is what the consumer wants and will go for in the future. Less quantity, but more quality. And I think sourdough will be a crucial driver for the future of bakery market.
What challenges and opportunities do you see in the baking industry?
Well, the bakery market has a lot of challenges. And I would say there are probably three categories of challenges. I still consider the main challenge is about creating taste and combine that with the idea of health. The beauty about bread is that those two elements can go really together. The bakery market has not always understood that maybe in the past, but now when we work on adding more fibers, seeds and grains, sourdough, we can combine the idea of eating more healthy with an enhanced taste. And that's the magic. If you can bring products where the consumer sees that both ideas are joined together, I mean, that's the future of bread. The second element that, of course, is a very important one is sustainability. Sustainability is for us has become a main driver, which we have been integrating into our strategy. And I think there are three dimensions which are particularly important for bread. The first one is about regenerative agriculture. I mean, that's where the big chunk of CO2 emission is created. About 70% is in scope 3. And from that 70%, I believe about 80% is about agriculture. So they need to make a huge transformation, which will not happen in a few years, but it will take 10, 15, 20 years. But we need to take the initiative to set the tune for that. So that's a very important project. Second one is about waste. Bread is creating waste, especially it's a paradox. You want to offer better and fresher breads, but you have a challenge that may create more waste. Of course, the frozen bakery technology allows to reduce that because it allows the customer to just bake whatever he needs during the day. But it is a challenge. We need to reduce because 30% of the food in global is wasted. So if we can already reduce that by half, that will help the planet tremendously. And then, of course, the energy transition. It's not that we are a huge contributor to these emissions, but we are baking our products. So we need to find solutions and reduce the energy transmission, the energy emission. And our goal is to go into green energy. And one of our factories already in Poland is actually already running 100% on green energy. So these are actually the main challenges that we have, apart from a last one. But I think it's a general one in the market, but especially in bakery too, is talent. I mean, and especially make sure that you still find people with a passion and expertise for bakery, not just from a technological point of view, but as we are an automated company who can integrate that also with technical equipments and technical innovation.
How has the baking industry evolved over the years, and where do you see it going?
Well, I think when we look at the big history of bakery, it started with something very pure. I mean, you go back to the Egyptians, they invented it in its purest way, just water, wheat, and that's it. And then we started adding some salt, we started adding yeast, we started industrializing. And I think in the 20th century, we saw that there was too much movement in the direction of just automation, industrialization. And I think we found like 30 years ago that there was too much of the same. Especially in the industrialization process, not enough differentiation in taste, short processes, which did not really make the difference anymore. I believe that in the last 20 years, bakers, and especially also the big bakers, have understood that cannot be a differentiator anymore, because that's only going to lead to cost, to price competition, and lack of differentiation. So the big movement, and I believe we have set the trend in the last 10 to 20 years, will be that we'll all focus much more on differentiation, not through cost, but through quality, taste, innovation. And I believe that makes our job so fantastic. That's what I also love about the bakery industry. I mean, somebody told me 30 years ago when I came to the company, bread, that must be quite dull. I mean, it's like bread. But when I compare this industry with many other foods industries, I believe that it's one of the most exciting segments in food, where there has been innovation, where a lot of other food industries can only be jealous of.
As one of the leading bakeries within Europe, what sets your bakery apart from your competitors?
Well, Lorraine always has two pillars in its strategy, which has, and the combination of both had made us different. I mean, the first one is about product leadership, always the quest of trying to differentiate through quality and innovation, and we have been doing that all the time. I can say that about 20% of our sales every year, we measure that, are made from innovations from the last 3 years. So it means it's an engine that continues to run all the time. And that has been combined with entrepreneurship and also the ambition to grow internationally. And the fact that we have been growing internationally has also sparked our creativity. New ideas from other countries, like in Turkey, we are now for almost 10 years in Turkey, we have seen products like börek that have a potential also to be sold here. While we are bringing products to them, they can be bringing products to us. So there is a kind of, I would say, exponential effect on your innovation and creativity thanks to internationalization. And I think this has been the combination of innovation and international expansion has been the magic in the success we have been able to create, growing 10% per year and expanding into more than 30 countries.
Can you share any upcoming strategies or activities that you are planning in order to adapt to this changing world within the baking industry?
The initiatives that we have for the future in terms of sourdough are really to now scale on it. I think we had a lot of pilot projects in Belgium, in Poland. I believe now it is time to scale it in all our factories. We have 17 bakery factories, and we should integrate that in the process of our daily life. And in particular, when we want to produce really very pronounced sourdoughs, but even there is an opportunity, and then with a smaller dosage, also to integrate it in more normal breads, because it adds a basic of flavor, it adds some structure and shelf life. So our project is really, and it is also part of our investment program, to install now important installations of sourdough and make sure that it becomes part of the life of all our factories, all the countries where we deliver bread.
What would the actual Guido say to the young Guido?
The advice that I would give to my younger self is that it is extremely important to understand that you build business with people. When you're young, you sometimes go fast and you have creative ideas and you have ambition. Understand that you can go fast alone, but that you can go much further together.
A decade ago, back in 2013, you were present when we inaugurated the Sourdough Library. What is your opinion on that project?
Well, 10 years ago, I was indeed there, and I think, Carl, you were there too.
I was, yes.
Of course. You were the founding father of this library. So, no, I really remember that because it was really a landmark that you put. I mean, for the first time, a company not just delivered sourdough and created products in that, but really made a library, which was, I think, very visionary, very inspirational, and also give a framework to the industry and also to us as a customers that we were entering a new era of bakery. And the fact that there is a library also inspires and shows that the solutions that sourdough can deliver are endless. I mean, the taste profiles are endless. You have the sourdoughs coming from Altamura, from Italy. You have them from South America. You have them from different countries in Europe. We developed since then our own sourdough, which is Grojek, which is based on our own flavor. So that project, I think, has set the tune for a breaking innovation in the market. And I think today, after 10 years, I can see that not just with us, but with a lot of colleagues and other companies, it is something that keeps inspiring us and that has been growing also. I understand that the variants that you have in the library are ever growing, and it's great that you keep the source of these sourdoughs well preserved, and that you can in that way reproduce them also for the future and even next generations. So I would say congratulations, and especially to you, Karel, because you have given your life to that project, I believe.
Almost. I really loved your answers. I think was a very nice interview, and my appreciation for that. Thank you very much.
It was a real pleasure, and again, all my appreciation for everything Puratus, but also you have been doing for this great category of sourdough, but also you're always ready for customers and always appreciated that.
Well, I hope you enjoyed and that you learned something out of this interview. We see that we talk to small artisan bakers, hobby bakers, but also to these big industrial bakeries. And what we learned is that in the future, it's not going to be on who makes the bread, that it is made in a kitchen or in a small bakery or in an industrial bakery, but the thing will be, how is that bread made? Is that bread containing sourdough? Are there lactic acid bacteria present? And how has that impacted the fermentation, the pre-digestion of the bread, and how does we bring that grain that contains so many nutrients to its full potential in the bread? So before we close, we received some questions, and I'm going to try to tackle a couple of these. I received a question that someone writes, I have learned that there is a big difference in the last step of the sourdough before it goes in the dough, that you have different methods regarding time, temperature, the amount of mother dough, and that has a big impact on the leavening and the sourdough on the end of the dough. How are you also taking this in consideration when you activate a sourdough from the library? And how big is the difference in the expression of the bacterium if this step is changed? So the sourdoughs that we have here in the library, we preserve them and we feed them in order to preserve the biodiversity. The protocol that we follow in the library has only one objective. It's not when we feed the sourdoughs that afterwards we are going to bake with it. So what we want to do is to grow the culture that is inside the sourdough to a maximum. The way we do that is the following. We use the original flour of the baker. We feed according the same ratio of water and flour to maintain the same consistency. But then we ferment between each step of refreshment, and we refresh 3 times with 6 hours in between. So what we do, after the feeding of the sourdough, we put it in a proof box at 35 degrees centigrade, which is probably somewhere in its 90s when we count in Fahrenheit. That temperature is not the temperature that allows the lactic acid bacteria or the yeasts to produce a lot of alcohol or to produce a lot of organic acids, but it is the exact temperature where they like to multiply themselves. So by keeping them at this temperature, we increase the amount and we increase the presence of microorganisms to be sure that we can get the next 2 months of preservation here in the library. If we would like to bake with these starters, then we would follow the protocol that we received when we enter a sourdough in the library. We document it with as much as possible information, and we know exactly how these starters are prepared in order to bake with. And some of them have a fermentation time of 12 hours, others have 16 hours, others have only 4 hours. okay? So that is the difference with what we do. Now, specifically, we have never checked the microbiological composition after the 6 hours that we ferment or the regular protocol. But as you have seen in this experiment, we are able to maintain the same diversity over the years as what happens in the bakery from where the sourdough is coming from. So we have been a little bit over time. Maybe we were kicked out of the live session on Instagram, but it is what it is. The rest on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn allows us to go a bit longer than 1 hour. And so that brings us to the end of this third of 6 live streams. That means we are halfway of the exciting day. Halfway, can you imagine? Our next stream will start in about 2 hours and will be completely conducted in Spanish. As a special guest, I will have Joan Ferrand of the Baking School from Sabadell in Barcelona and author of the book Oh La La. And another guest I will have live here in the library is Ramon Garriga, better known as Gluten Morgan from Argentina. Do not forget to bake and share your celebration breads to win this book, okay? Tomorrow we will post a reminder on Facebook and Instagram capturing the essence. If there are questions that were not answered, we will do so the coming days, weeks, and months. I'd like to thank all of you for staying with us. Stay tuned and see you soon.